Hi, boys and girls. Today, the section of social studies that we're working on is about our state symbols. You know, we've learned that our country has a flag. The United States flag has 50 stars, and each of those stars represents a state or stands for a state. There are 50 states in the United States, and we live in one of those states. The one that we live in is Indiana. Now, some of you are going to say, I live in Bloomington. I know you do. But Bloomington is a city inside of Indiana. So you've got 50 states, the state of Indiana, and then Indiana is made up of lots of towns like Indianapolis, Bloomington, Lafayette, Muncie. I live in Gosport, Indiana. I grew up in Leavenworth, Indiana. So there are lots of cities or towns, and that's what Bloomington is, that go together to make up the state, Indiana. And Indiana is one of 50 states that makes up our nation or our country, the United States of America. And Indiana has its own symbols. I went ahead and brought some out. In 2016, Indiana celebrated its 200th birthday. And when that happened, my dad got to carry a torch. They ran a torch, kind of like the Olympics. If you've ever watched that, they carry a torch and then they hand it off and that person carries it. There's a torch being carried through Indiana. And because my dad works with the veterans, the soldiers who are no longer soldiers, and because he's worked with them, somebody nominated him to carry the torch. And when I went to watch him, they gave us all a little Indiana state flag. So this is what the state of Indiana's flag looks like. And I've had this since they gave it to me. There are some other symbols for our states, and I brought some pictures. One of them is our state bird. Now, our state bird we see all the time, and you've probably seen a lot of them. Our state bird is the cardinal. I see them all the time, and especially in winter, they really do show up on the snow. But they stay here all year round. They do not fly south for the winter. So the cardinal is our state bird. Our state flower is also a popular flower in people's yards, and it's called the peony. I have lots of peonies that I have planted. But the property that I own, the land that I live on, was actually owned by people for hundreds of years. And so there are other peonies that grow there that were planted there a long time ago by other people, and I ended up moving them so that they were all together. But I have lots of peonies, and they're gorgeous flowers. You have to get your mom a peony one day if she doesn't have one. We also have a state tree, and that tree is the tulip poplar. Now, usually what you see are these leaves, and that's a telltale sign that that tree is a tulip poplar. But when they flower, which is just one time during the year that I know of, they have this little flower that kind of looks like a tulip. That's probably why it's called the tulip poplar. And the last thing that I brought is the seal of the state of Indiana, and it says 1816. And I always think it's interesting because it has a buffalo on it. And while we don't see buffaloes anymore, I guess at one time they must have been in Indiana. So this is the seal of the state of Indiana. So when our governor, the leader of our state, is on TV and he stands up at a podium and speaks, usually they have the seal of the state. Now, in your book, we are on page 44 and 45. And it says that our goal is for you to know about state symbols. Our state flag. Every state has a flag. State flags show pictures that are important to the state. Many state flags use red, white, and blue, just as our nation's flag. It says, look at these flags and tell what colors and symbols you see. What do you notice on these? I don't know what all of these are. This one says Illinois. That's a neighboring state. They don't have the Indiana flag here. Other state symbols. States have other symbols. States have a state flower, a state bird, and a state tree. They have other important symbols too. The capital is the most important city in a state. The Capitol building is a symbol of the state government. Now, our capital is the city of Indianapolis. So if you go to Indianapolis, you'll see the State House. And that's our Capitol building up in Indianapolis. It's not too far from here, about an hour, probably a little less. So that is our state capital. That's where all of our leaders work to run the state of Indiana. It says, write what you can see on a state flag. Well, it says state flags show pictures that are important to the state. So what do you see on a state flag? If you look at our state flag, what do you see? Let's go ahead and write what we see on our state flag. I see a torch and a lot of stars. So on those lines, you could write torch and stars. You also see the word Indiana. You could write that too if you want. All right, boys and girls. Have a great day. Bye.